Good evening. I will call the April meeting of the Oak Ridge City Council to order. We're glad that you're with us tonight. Our invocation tonight will be led by Rabbi Heva Lowenthal of the Jewish Congregation of Oak Ridge, Lila Nyad of Oak Ridge High School, who's a sophomore, and a member of the Jewish Congregation of Oak Ridge will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand. Rabbi, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Members of the council, city manager, city attorney, thank you for the honor of offering the invocation for tonight's meeting. In the Jewish tradition, in this time between Passover and Shavuot, that is between the festival of our freedom and the Feast of Weeks, we follow the words of Leviticus 23 and Deuteronomy 16 to count each of the 49 days between these two festivals. Our ancient mystics saw these 7 weeks as an extended opportunity to refine two particular intersecting character traits each night. And after nightfall, the character traits for tonight will be hod, humility, within gevura, strength, clarity, definition. How fitting for our city leaders to gather this very evening in humility as servant leaders working with and for the people, and with strength and clarity as you uphold our city's highest ideals. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yivarech etchem v'yishlach bracha v'hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedchem May God bless you and bless the work of your hands, and we say, Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dotson.
Here.
Councilmember Gleason.
Here.
Mayor Gooch.
Here.
Councilmember Hammond. Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Hope. Here. Councilmember Smith. Here. We have a quorum.
All right. First proclamation, Madam Clerk.
We have a proclamation designating April 19th, 2026 as Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. I'm going to ask Councilman Hensley to present the proclamation.
I just wanted to say that it was my honor about 12 years ago to hold Mayor Kimmelman's hand during the ceremony at the synagogue. So
Yeah.
it's my honor again to present this to you. Quite welcome.
Absolutely, Ronnie.
So I just wanted to say,
Ronnie, turn around.
should I turn around?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. It's you guys.
You're-
You're important. Okay. I just wanted to say that growing up in Oak Ridge was such an incredibly idyllic experience. I never knew what anti-Semitism was my whole time here in Oak Ridge. It wasn't until I left that I understood what that meant. And it has just been an incredible journey to come to terms with that. And when I was growing up, Mira Kimmelman was my Sunday school and Hebrew school teacher, but that was before she was speaking about her experiences in the Holocaust. So I thought all that had happened, all those thousands of years in our history, that was the hatred, and that it was gone, and that in America I would never experience that. And then later in life, when she brought me into studying the Holocaust with her, I thought, well, this happened a really long time ago. And so this could not happen here. And unfortunately, in the last few years, I've had to come to terms with the fact that people that don't know anything about me hate me. And if you've never experienced that, of being hated for who you are, you just can't even contemplate what that means. So it's incredibly important to me to have this remembrance service and to have the community come together. And we just take that hour to look at what hate looks like, and we pray together, we sing together, and we think about what can we do to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation designating April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Move to accept.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed. I believe Ms. Keisha Waters is here to accept the proclamation, and we'll ask Councilman Gleason to present it.
30 years service and added to that.
Aye.
Real quick, before I let you know that. Cass has an unbelievably important mission, so I'm going to put her on the spot to talk just briefly about why disrupting this at a young age is so important, the impact this has, and the impact you have on the community.
Do you want to talk to them or them?
You have to talk to them.
The last time I was here, I won't say who told me this, but I faced you all the last time I was here, and someone said, you know, you're supposed to face the crowd when you speak to them. And it was somebody who should know better, but I won't say who it was. But I think it was setting me up. Anyway, thank you so much. CASA, as you know, stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. we use the month of April to really sort of push our mission of advocating for abused and neglected children who are involved in the foster care system. Our CASA volunteers come from all walks of life. They don't have any special background or training or anything like that. We train them specifically to advocate for children. And when we have a CASA that's appointed to a child that has a case in juvenile court, we are advocating only for their best interests. We're advocating for their safety. We're advocating for their placement, for whatever educational needs they have. We want to ensure that whatever brought them into the system never happens to them again. CASA volunteers are the only consistent adult presence in these children's lives. So oftentimes we hear the statistics of foster care. Children can move up to 10 to 12 times different homes while they're in foster care. That one consistent person is their CASA volunteer. So April is the month that we really focus on child abuse prevention, but we are advocating all year long. So opportunities like this give me a chance to not only talk to you all, but talk to the audience as well about the important work we're doing. We're a small agency, but we've been around since 1988, and we've been doing a lot of really good work and a lot of advocacy and changing lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation designating April 22nd, 2026 as Earth Day.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. I'm going to ask Ms. Smith to present the proclamation. Members of EQUAB are here.
Thank you, council members. Yes. This council was ahead of its time in establishing our board not too long after the first Earth Day. Is that right? There you go. Good.
Yeah, that's right.
Good. We have solved as a country most of the most glaring environmental problems that plagued our time then. Petroleum fires on the Cuyahoga River that lasted for days at a time. Smog so thick you couldn't see, you could barely drive through it in our major cities. Environmental challenges remain, but as large as those are, there are many very exciting environmental opportunities. And this board is very grateful to the council and city staff, and we're excited to see the city remain a leader in environmental protection and in energy innovation. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation designating April 16th through 19th, 2026 as Altrusa District 4 Conference Weekend.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And I think we have Ms. Samantha Berwin here and Katie Watt.
If you're an Altrusan, come on up.
Yep.
Oh, okay. How's that? Can Altrusans up here come in? I will.
I'm taking pictures.
On behalf of the city, we want to thank you and all your members for everything that you do for our community, our extended community, not just only Oak Ridge, but Anderson, Rome, and surrounding counties. We thank you very much.
I'm Samantha Bervin, the co-chair of the Altrusa Conference Planning Committee. We will have 83 Altrusans from District 4, which covers 4 states, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, coming on Thursday. 83 Eltrusans. We will be doing lots of service projects for our Boost for Books, which helps provide books to the elementary schools, as well as providing school supplies to the Blossom Center. Our club in Oak Ridge is 71 years old, and we have made a huge impact in Oak Ridge, Anderson County, and all of our surrounding counties, and I thank you for recognizing what we do.
Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation recognizing the Boys and Girls Club of Oak Ridge for receipt of the 2026 Program Excellence Award.
Move for approval. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed. Mr. Gleason, if you'll present the present. Oh, sorry. Okay. Vice Mayor Dotson is going to present that.
Okay.
So the Boys and Girls Club has always been an important part of the fabric of Oak Ridge. I can remember when we had young people in our family and they would go to the Boys and Girls Club after school. We have a lot of our students from Jefferson Middle School going to Boys and Girls Club. Everything you do from the sports programs to the academic programs, really important to the fabric of our life, selling Christmas trees. You do it all, so I want to congratulate you and the Boys and Girls Club. You want to say a few words?
Yeah, just a couple. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for this recognition. And I know that so many of you on this council have done so much for so long for not just me, but more importantly, the club as a whole. Starting back in 1958, this club has a legacy, unlike just about anything else or any other place in this town. I'm happy to be an incredibly small part of what we do. This year for our basketball program, it was nearly 300 kids that participated in it. Everybody knows that we do after-school care, but a lot of people don't understand, especially when they're new to the area, that if you want to play these sports, this is your outlet. And without us, unfortunately, a lot of these kids wouldn't have a place to go. So I appreciate the support and the recognition. It goes a really long way. And I'm proud to say, just reiterate one more time that this year, I think one of the reasons that we were recognized for this award from Boys and Girls Clubs of America and the Tennessee State Alliance is for the first time in our long history, again dating back to 1958, we had an all-girls league. We 2 years ago had our first girls teams. We had 2 of them. Last year we, I think, upped that number to 4 or 5 teams, and then this year we were able to have an entire girls league. So the league is only growing, and take this opportunity to say we always need more volunteers and more help. But I really appreciate you, and as this city continues to grow.
We are exceptionally fortunate to have you and your leadership at our Boys and Girls Club, and we thank you.
Oh, I appreciate you guys.
Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation recognizing Leslie England for receipt of the 2026 Jack Case Impact Award from Emory Valley Center.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Hope, if you do the honors, please.
Leslie England, come on down. This is a very special award named after a very special person in the history of Oak Ridge, but more importantly, this used to be called the Compassionate Award. And I've known Leslie for over 25 years, and I can't think of somebody that's more compassionate towards the community and a lot of things that she does. From her work with Habitat Humanity, the Boys and Girls Club, it goes to Free Medical Clinic. We've been a long-time member together in the Rotary Fund, together in the new Rotary. So it goes without saying that she is a service above self in everything she does. And so it's a great honor to do that. And for somebody that's never shy in front of the microphone, she gets to talk to councilmen.
In so doing, you're speaking to the community, so.
I love that. I'm used to singing to the community, not speaking to the community, but I'm very honored about this. The award, the Jack Case Award, Compassion Award, I'm surrounded by Jim also that received it. But this really isn't about me. It's about Emory Valley Center, you know? And I have done a lot in the community, and so have many of you in here. And I'm listening to all the people that got proclamations and are getting proclamations, and all the worthy causes that we get in this community. It's amazing how many people are in this room and how much we do, and all of you are involved as well. But Emory Valley Center has given us more than I could ever give it, ever, in a lifetime. They surround not just our county, 9 counties. They have given people jobs that would never have an opportunity to have a job. They stand behind them. I mean, you're there. They stand behind people that are unique individuals and help them become the highest potentials of themselves. Who could want more than that in life? And I'm just so honored to be here, and thank you, Mayor.
And
And
introduce
thank
your
you,
partner
Council.
there.
Pardon me?
And introduce your partner.
Oh,
I'm
this
Rachel.
is Rachel. And go ahead, Rachel.
I do the marketing, so I work with Aaron Price, but before that, I was a DSP, so I was actually in the homes. So I've been there about a year.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation honoring Oak Ridge, Tennessee as the birthplace of the nuclear navy and recognizing the contributions of Admiral Hyman Rickover and Dr. Alvin Weinberg to the field of nuclear science.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Tinsley? If there's someone here to present the proclamation to.
I've been involved in this now probably for a year or two, and Gordon Fee's not here, and D. Ray Smith's not here, so my good friend Ray Evans, who has done some of the design work for the nuclear sail that we're going to get here from the USS Houston, which actually the submarine, you can see the submarine, it's the one that comes up out of the water in Hunt for Red October, and we're going to get the sail here right outside this building. So come up here, Ray, and get your picture taken back. I know you hate this, but
So just quickly, I'm a very poor excuse for a substitute for Gordon Fee or Ray Smith, either one. But for the last several months, Councilman Hensley and Gordon and Ray have allowed me to have breakfast with them and lunch with them on occasion and talk about the nuclear Navy. And it's just fascinating. It's fascinating to be with the three of them and all they know and to think that the conversations that Admiral Rickover and Dr. Weinberg had caused all of this. And today, we're still producing the fuel for the nuclear Navy, and I think that's outstanding. Similar resolution will go before the State General Assembly here shortly as well. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation designating April 2026 as Fair Housing Month.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And Mr. Dotson, you'll present the proclamation.
So I'm honored to present this proclamation on behalf of Fair Housing. The city of Oak Ridge is continuing to grow. We have new nuclear coming in, and we have the need for fair housing and opportunities that will avail us in our community. So I'm just so proud to present this to Ms. Williams on behalf of the City Council and the Planning Commission. She does an admirable job with us, and I am just proud to know her. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next proclamation, Madam
A
Clerk.
proclamation designating April 19th through 25th, 2026 as National Library Week in the city of Oak Ridge.
Moved in second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed, and Ms. Smith will present the proclamation.
Get everybody staged correctly.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oak Ridge Public Library is one of the most popular government institutions in town. Think of it as people, but clearly interests animals as well. This proclamation has some excellent statistics about the library that had welcomed 130,000 people in fiscal 2025 and checked out 218,000 items in fiscal year 2025. That's a lot of interest. But I think we may need to hear why the dog is here.
Chester is a rough reader at the Children's Library.
A rough reader.
Yes, he's
Okay.
a habit dog, and we volunteer every Wednesday at the library.
Wonderful.
Kids come to greet him.
Aw.
I guess he likes to hear stories.
He loves to get on his.
Julie Fortner is here to do the official acceptance of this proclamation. And get a picture of this with the dog, hopefully.
He's so cute.
This is for you. Yeah. Do you wish to speak? I do. Okay.
It's a long agenda, but I just wanted to take a second to recognize our volunteers. Anya Withington is our longest-standing teen volunteer. She is also interned for the legal department here at the city. And Linda Gilpin has been bringing habit dogs every Wednesday for 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next proclamation, Madam Clerk.
A proclamation designating April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day.
Move for approval. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none. Mr. Gleason, if you present the proclamation, please. I think he was giving it to Mr. Hedrick.
First Arbor Day, 1872, so most of us in here are grown up with it, we won't call anybody out. So it's not like to say, but I will take the opportunity to thank John and his staff for what they do in support of this every year, the distribution of seedlings and the actual planting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do just want to quickly note that we will be celebrating Arbor Day on Friday, April 24th. We'll be distributing tree seedlings and educational packets to all the fourth graders in the city, and we'll be planting a redbud tree at Linden Elementary School and accepting our Tree City and Tree Line USA awards. So,
And how
thank
many
you all.
years will this make?
I believe this is 38 years.
I
We're
believe
closing
you're
in on
correct.
40. Yes, sir. Long time. One
Thank
of the
you.
first in Tennessee.
All right, next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, we have elections and appointments. The first one is we're electing one representative to the Oak Ridge Housing Authority. We have on the ballot, and if they're here, I would ask them to stand. Michael Blair, Becky Dotson, Jeff Shaw, and Aaron Wooten.
And Mayor Gooch, I will recuse myself from this vote.
Thank you, Mr. Dodson.
Recreation up there. Recreation. Okay. I'll fix it.
Sorry, I got the wrong election up on the screen.
Figure out how to fix it without messing up her stuff. There we go. And you're going to vote for one, and it's a 5-year term.
The vote is unanimous for Becky Dotson.
Congratulations, Ms. Dodson.
Okay.
Next,
Yes.
appointment election.
Okay, we're going to elect 2 members to the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board. And we have, I think about 15 applicants maybe for 2 vacancies. So there was a lot of interest in the appointment to this board. There always is. So if you're here, I'll ask you to stand. Michael Blair, Sharon Bourgeois, Jason Brandt, Robert Fortney, Justin Kingray, Tiffany Malone, and Dr. Faye Martin. She has asked that her name be taken out of consideration. She's having some health issues, and she emailed me today. Robert Mandra, Fran Pisano, Amanda Robertson, Kenneth Reuter, Jeff Shaw, Matthew Shreve, Philip Stevenson, and Aaron Wooten. And you're going to vote for 2.
Ready? Councilwoman Smith votes for Malone and Stevenson. Councilman Hope votes for Malone and Reuter. Mayor Pro Tem Dotson votes for Malone and Reuter. Mayor Gooch votes for Malone and Reuter. Councilman Hensley votes for Pisano and Stevenson. Councilman Gleason votes for Malone and Reuter.
Tiffany Malone and Ken Reuter are elected. Now, the next thing you have to do, these are balance of unexpired terms. So one ends in 2027 and one ends in 2028. Ms. Malone got 5 votes, Mr. Reuter got 4, just so you know the breakdown. But we can do it by motion, or I do have another ballot that we could use. If somebody wants to make a motion.
Make a motion that we appoint Tiffany Malone to the unexpired term ending in 28.
Okay.
And Kenneth Reuter to the unexpired term in 2027.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay,
Congratulations.
thank you all.
And I will note that we have some other vacancies that are coming up on Board of Zoning Appeals, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Explore Oak Ridge, and the EQUA Board. So we're going to try to fill those as they come up. The next big election will be
And
not
the
till
Youth Advisory
January.
Board.
Youth Advisory Board and the student representatives will happen in July.
All right, and what
So-
will be the cutoff for applications?
For the
July meeting,
June 1st.
June 1st,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
But that'll be posted.
Yes, because the screening panel will have to give them time to meet on Youth Advisory Board.
Okay.
So,
All
all
right.
right, that concludes elections this time. Thank you all.
Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Next item is the consent agenda.
Ms. Smith has asked that item E be taken off the consent agenda. Are there any other requests? Seeing none, I entertain a motion for the other items on the consent agenda to be approved.
Motion to approve other items.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none, and the consent agenda is approved. We are now on item E. Madam Clerk, if you would read item E.
Okay, give me just a sec to get it up on the
Sure.
screen. Yeah. Okay. A resolution authorizing an agreement with Design Innovation Architects Incorporated, Knoxville, Tennessee, for on-call architectural services for the field survey and plats for 4 lots within Heritage Center in an amount not to exceed $28,940.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith?
Oh, I have just one question about this. We, in the past, tasked DIA, this company, to work on a master plan for the Heritage Center property to include elements like greenways and access within and through the area. And this contract, as described, sounds to me like it's a preamble to that other work. And I just wondered whether that's true or whether this is basically a second thing, whether that other work is still going on.
Mr. Pessmer?
Thank you, Councilor Smith. This is a completely separate item. This has to do with the K1007 building. It is something that we've been property that we're wanting to get rid of, and so this survey would allow us to do that.
Okay, so that other work is still ongoing?
It is,
Okay,
that's correct.
thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to approve item E?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed?
Mr. Colclaser wanted to address council on this item, since we took it off consent.
Mr. Colclaser?
Yeah, come on up.
Doug Colclaser, 103 Monticello Road. This work to realign a lot of the structure of the footprints at Heritage Center offers a chance to look at a greenway easement across the site to connect an existing greenway system along Perimeter Road and another greenway system trailhead right at the corner by the George Jones Church access. We think greenway easement across the site would be extremely beneficial. Some of the new businesses agree. We have three beautiful historic museums there now, so getting a connectivity there makes a lot of sense. You may not follow the partnerships work in Alcoa and Maryville, but they promised new companies access to their greenway. And a new company located across from the McGee Tyson Airport, and Brian Davis, the president of the Blunt Partnership, worked with the airport board and the senior staff at the airport and developed a greenway easement across the airport as an example of how important it is to their community. And that promise and that effort for the greenway connectivity is it's not the Rec and Parks leading it, it's the Industrial Development Board. Anyway, we have an opportunity here and appreciate that being a part of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colclaser. Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, did I hear earlier that the ongoing effort did include greenways?
The master plan is looking at greenways throughout the entire K25 site, yes, so absolutely. But this would not preclude greenways from happening on the site.
So could you talk to Doug and get an idea of where he's coming from?
Absolutely. Love to get any information we can on that.
Thank you.
That plan better.
Thank you.
All right. Back on the motion is to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none, and it is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under public hearings and first reading of ordinances, we have an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled the zoning ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending section 6.01 titled 01 office districts and section 7.02 titled B1 neighborhood business districts for the purpose of adding mixed-use development as the permitted principal use in both districts provided certain conditions are met, and by amending section 6.02 titled O2 Office Districts, Section 7.03 titled B2 General Business Districts, Section 7.03 titled B2 General Business Districts, and Section 7.04 titled UB2 Unified General Business Districts, to replace the word similar with the word compatible in their respective subparts pertaining to mixed-use development for consistency in language, and a public hearing is required on this item.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I'll need a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any citizens wishing to address council during this public hearing? Seeing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right, we're back on the motion to approve. Ms. Racker, do you have a comment?
This is just ratification of ordinance number 1-2025. This was in your packet last time, but we had a little bit of a Granicus issue, so we didn't have that actual ordinance in the packet last time. That's why it's on first reading this time and not on second reading with all of the others. So it was just the last one in that group.
Okay, thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Oh, we got to vote.
Yes, you do. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? There are none. Thank you.
Next item is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled the zoning ordinance of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by amending the zoning map, which is made a part of the ordinance by changing the zoning district of parcel 019.00, Anderson County Tax Map 106G Group B, containing approximately 4.19 acres from B2 General Business to IND2 Industrial, and the public hearing will be held on second reading on this one.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Williams?
So as you can see on the map there, this is a just over 4-acre property on the northeast corner of Bethel Valley and Scarborough Roads. Back in the 80s, this property was zoned IND2 along with the overall Commerce Park Industrial Park. But in 2007, it got its current zoning of B2 in anticipation of a commercial development that didn't happen. The lot remains vacant, and now a potential purchaser, Gem Technologies, is requesting a rezoning back to essentially IND2 for the development of the site for their business. Staff supports this development. It's compatible with existing surrounding development, and the Planning Commission also unanimously recommended approval. Thank you.
Questions for Ms. Williams? Seeing none.
No.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I pushed my button. So-
I'm sorry, it's not.
Okay, that's, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The technology isn't working.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'll be aware of that.
Okay.
This was rezoned a number of years ago as commercial because we were hoping that it would capture commuter spending of people commuting past that site. And I have a suspicion that that didn't happen because accessibility is really limited when there's heavy traffic going through there. But I'm wondering how the prospective tenant expects to address access during peak periods. So do they schedule their arrival and departure activities so that they can get in and out when they're doing warehousing work during the day?
So I know that the applicant has begun conversations with our engineering staff about the entrances to that site, but they do not have a specific site plan at this point. I can try to bring some more information back on second reading for that if you'd like.
I'd just like to be confident that they're going to be able to figure it out. So, and another related question, what's the use of the property immediately to the right on that map?
It is still vacant, but it is also zoned B2 right now, but it is under different ownership. The property was split at some point in the past.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Williams? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? And it is approved on first reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, under final adoption of ordinances, we have an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending section 7.06 titled D1 Downtown District, subsection F4I, and section 13.02 titled Design Review Standards, subsections F2, F3, and G3D for the purpose of promoting biodiversity and prohibiting invasive species, and a public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on this item? Seeing none, need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Ms. Rackard.
So this is the first of 5 that we're going to have. So this one is ratification of ordinance 18, 2024.
Any questions?
It was unanimously approved.
Right. Any questions for Ms. Rackard? All right, since these are on final adoption, we'll be on the board.
Ayes 6, no nays.
And the ordinance is adopted on second reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending the following sections. Section 14.07 titled Signs for Residential Districts. Section 14.09 titled Signs for Education Districts. Section 14.10 titled Signs for Office Institutional Districts. Section 14.11 titled Signs for Neighborhood Business Districts. Section 14.12 titled Signs for Community Business Districts, and Section 14.14 titled Signs for Business Park and General Industrial Districts, all for the purpose of eliminating the height restrictions for wall signs, except that the top of the wall sign can be no higher than the building's apparent roof line or cornice, and to allow internal direct illumination of wall signs in all districts except residential ones, provided the illuminated wall sign does not face an R1 or an R2 zoning district. And
Move for approval.
Public hearing is required.
Moved and seconded. Need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on this matter? Seeing none, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Rackard.
This is ratification of ordinance number 8-2025. This one was also unanimously approved when it was originally passed.
Any other questions for Ms. Rackard? Seeing none, we're on the board.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the ordinance is adopted on second and final reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending the following sections. Article 2 titled Definitions to update the definition of portable storage containers. Section 3.18 titled Temporary Use Permits. Subsection H titled Portable Storage Container Regulations for the purpose of making portable storage containers an accessory use in non-industrial zones for a defined time period and for specific circumstances with a temporary use permit or building permit. And subsection C titled Permitted Accessory Uses of sections 8.01 titled IND1 Industrial Districts, section 8.02 titled IND2 Industrial Districts, and section 8.03 titled IND3 Industrial Districts to add portable storage containers as an accessory use without time restraint, provided containers are screened from adjacent and/or abutting residential districts, and a public hearing is required.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Need a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council during the public hearing? Seeing none, I need a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are back on the motion itself. Ms. Rackard, do you have anything to add?
This is ratification of ordinance 29-2025. This was also unanimously approved originally.
so we're on the board.
6 ayes, no nays.
And the ordinance is approved on second reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled the zoning ordinance of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by amending subsection E of section 8.01, titled IND1 Industrial Districts, section 8.02, titled IND2 Industrial Districts, and section 8.03, titled IND3 Industrial Districts, to allow for 0 lot line setbacks for the sides and rear when abutting parcels in the same zoning district, and a public hearing is required.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone wishing to address council on public hearing? Seeing none, motion to close, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. And so we are back on the ratification of the ordinance. Ms. Rackard?
This is ratification of ordinance 39-2025. This one was approved by a vote of 6-1 when it was originally passed, with Councilman Hensley voting against it.
All right, questions for Ms. Rackard?
Yeah, I recall that we discussed this last month, and there was supposed to be some clarification made to address the questions or some analysis of the issues that Councilman Hensley raised.
Is this the one about the 0 lot lines?
Yes.
My concern is that it's not fair to an existing property owner who complied with the setbacks and expects the other side to have the same setbacks. And so along comes an ordinance change, and now maybe an industry that might create very sensitive components ends up with another industry right on their lot line that might disturb their business. So I think personally that it should involve approval of the adjacent property owner.
Ms. Williams, you want to
Sure.
respond?
So we do already have this situation in both our B2 and UB2 zoning districts with 0 lot line setbacks. That's how places like Jackson Square exist with multiple buildings. I'll say site design makes this actual 0 lot line setbacks without coordination between property owners pretty challenging for fire access, landscaping, utilities, all of those things. From a zoning perspective, we can't require an adjacent property owner to give permission for the setbacks for a different property. I'll also say that the genesis of this request actually comes from the National Security Prototyping Center that's being built behind the Ortec facility. They're going to have 2 buildings that ultimately need to be on separate lots and under separate ownership. And that's the genesis. But from a staff perspective, we felt it was reasonable across our industrial zones for other similar situations.
I agree with everything you said, except in the cases where an existing industry that has that are manufacturing sensitive components might end up with somebody right on the lot line that disturbs their sensitive components when they're building them. And I might point out an example that we had an airport planned on the west end of town, and the airport went away because Orano doesn't want an airport within that because of their building. They're going to have probably 100,000 very sensitive components in that building. And so I think there should be some requirement for the new property owner to talk to the original property owner on the other side that complied with the original setbacks and maybe go through a BZA hearing. Maybe he can request a BZA hearing and discuss what the problem would be, and then the BZA would approve the 0 setback. That would be my hopes.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none.
Yeah, I'm puzzled about,
Okay, go
my
ahead.
understanding is that this is intended for situations like the one that Jennifer described, where there are 2 entities building buildings that will be designed with a 0 lot line. And it's hard for me to understand how this can be a generic rule for the entire zone, allowing 0 lot line, when it's really for specific circumstances. seems like, the circumstance is a situation where there is cooperation between the property owners wanting to divide the property or something, and not a situation where somebody's coming in and building something and saying, well, I want a zero lot line so I can get more use out of my property. That's tough. And how do other cities handle this?
Lots of other cities do have, zero lot line setbacks in different zoning districts. I don't have specifics about industrial zoning in particular, but zero lot line setbacks are fairly common.
If I may, I've been somewhere where it also allows you to connect buildings with connectors, and it, helps you expand on an adjacent property. So I've seen it in use. I don't know that I've ever encountered any issues, but as Councilman Hensley says, we do have some unique circumstances here, but I can't imagine that we would have too many of those that would occur.
Mr. Hensley?
I agree, there won't be too many. And I can think of lots of good opportunities that would come from this by having similar industries that wanted to cooperate. But you get two industries that are not compatible, and then we're gonna bring this second guy in and put him right on the lot line. To me, that's not fair to the original person on the other side who complied with the original setbacks.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I'd like to explore how this can be handled so that we don't have the kinds of conflicts that Councilman Hensley is concerned about.
And I don't know if it's possible, but would a BZA approval process where you had to have some conversation about it and have another party look at those type issues be something that you guys would be amenable to? Is that a possibility? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we need a vote, we need a motion to defer. All right, Ms. Rackard, take the floor.
So we would need to send this one, we'd have to send it back to Planning Commission for them to look at it. It would be an entirely different ordinance because it would place it in a different provision. It is the same conversation that, that Councilman Hensley brought up on the first time that it was considered, both last month and then when it was originally passed previously. And was it also discussed at the Planning Commission when it was originally passed? Yes. So it was an issue that was addressed by Planning Commission on their first consideration. They did talk about it, not necessarily putting it in front of BZA, but that circumstance was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting as well. But yeah, if that's something council is interested in, we would have to take that back to Planning Commission for them to look at that as an option. And then is that the only business that we currently have that it's going to impact?
The prototyping center is the only business
you're
I'm
aware
aware
of.
of that would be impacted.
So you could hold it in you could defer it and we could send it to Planning Commission to look at and not necessarily, kill this ordinance, but just defer it.
Mr. Johnson, and then we'll.
Yeah, at first, the vote on this from Planning Commission initially was what, Ms. Williams?
It was unanimous,
It
a
was
7-0
unanimous.
vote.
With that being said, and being a member of Planning Commission, I would support Councilman Hensley's need and Councilwoman Smith's need to really look at this and possibly defer and take back to, if you will, to Planning Commission. Be happy to do that, support that.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'd be happy to make that.
I'll second that.
Okay. A motion made and seconded to defer.
May I make one comment,
Sure.
Mayor? We talked about this could happen. I would think it would be a very minuscule chance that something like we've talked about would come up in the next 60 days. And another possibility could be to pass the ordinance and then start to work on the amendment to change it. That would stop from holding up the National Prototyping Center. I don't know what their timing is or if that would help. But, that's just another thought, that you could pass it and then amend it immediately. Direct staff to work on that.
So, Mayor, I would be happy to do that, given us an opportunity to work on as council. I just feel like there's more discussion based on what I'm hearing from two members on council.
I like that idea, but I would like to be sure that the record indicated our intent to address this after some additional investigation, after pass the ordinance or ratify the ordinance now.
Okay.
And then with an expectation that by date certain, we'll come back and look at the possibility of clarifying it so that it doesn't create the kind of conflict that Councilman Hensley has suggested.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'll withdraw that. And again, like Mr. Heenan said, if we could ratify that tonight, I would be fine with that.
All right, so you're moving to withdraw the item, your motion to
And
defer.
the seconder withdraws.
And the seconder also withdraws, okay. So now we're back, thank you all. We're now back on the final adoption of the ordinance with the clear understanding that it's going to come back at some point.
Yeah, we can proceed with scheduling something in front of Planning Commission at the next available meeting, which would not be this month.
That's right, it would be
but
May.
It would be
with
May.
the Planning
But
Commission.
keep the process moving.
Mhm.
Okay. Good, everybody good? All right. Then the motion is to approve the ordinance, and we're on the board.
We have 5 ayes and 1 nay.
And it is approved on final reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending subsection D of section 5.05 titled R3 Medium Density Residential District to create provisions for single-family attached dwellings to be built on individual lots by right by changing the maximum usable floor area to lot area building footprint percentage and by exchanging the minimum lot size requirement with a maximum density provision of 16 units per acre with 0 side setbacks for shared walls, and a public hearing is required.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council during the public hearing? Seeing none, need a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We're back on the ordinance itself. Ms. Rackard?
This is your last one. This is ratification of 39-2025. This one was also unanimously approved.
Questions for Ms. Rackard or Ms. Williams? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
6 ayes, no nays.
And the ordinance is approved on second reading. Next item, Madam Clerk.
We have an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending the zoning map which is made a part of the ordinance by changing the zoning district of parcels 040.00 and 041.00, Anderson County Tax Map 100A, Group A, containing approximately 5.7 acres from R3 PUD, Medium Density Residential District with a planned unit development overlay, to R3 Medium Density Residential District, said parcels being located at 203 Michigan Avenue and 141 Madison Lane respectively, and a public hearing is required.
Moved and seconded. Motion to open public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address this matter during the public hearing? Seeing none, need a motion to close.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Ms. Rackard, we're back on the motion. Okay. Actually, it is, yes. Okay.
So these properties that you see here on the screen, almost 10 years ago now, in 2017, City Council approved a planned unit development, a PUD, for the properties for an assisted living facility, which has never come to fruition. And now the property owner is requesting to essentially remove the PUD designation and return the properties to that R3 zoning status. Staff supports this. It's a good buffer between the single-family residential to the north and the more intensive commercial development to the south. And the Planning Commission also voted unanimously to recommend approval. Yes. Thank you.
All right, any questions, comments? Seeing none, the motion is to approve.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the ordinance is approved on second and final reading. Next item, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Title 14, titled Zoning and Land Use Control, Chapter 5, titled Stormwater Management of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by amending Section 14-502, titled Definitions, subsection 9, to clarify the definition of clearing, and a public hearing is not required.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Rackard?
This item before you is for second reading, and this is just a minor amendment to the stormwater definition of the word clearing. This came about through a conversation with Councilwoman Smith, is that our city code did not really clearly define when permits would be required for cutting and clearing trees over a large land mass. So we've added a sentence into the definition section, which would be that clearing specifically includes tree and/or shrub removal that disturbs a land area greater than 5 acres. So just to add that definition.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'm just curious to know where the 5 acres came from. I mean, that sounds kind of big for.
That was something that came up in conversation between the city attorney and the deputy city manager and me. It was kind of, it's an arbitrary number, but it was thought to be big enough that it wouldn't be annoying people who just want to clear a lot.
Doesn't 5 acres sound a little large to you?
Could be.
Well, let's make it less.
There is provision in some of the ordinance, I think, for something related to 1 acre. But I believe the 5 acre number might be elsewhere in the ordinance. That might be where it came from. I'm not sure.
Well, I believe that there is some area of the code that talks about 1 acre of disturbance. There's also, I believe, something in there that talks about 10 acres. I think we picked 5 because 1 felt a little small. I mean, you could be clearing trees on 1 acre, and that probably wouldn't be creating a situation where you would expect a lot of disturbance of the soil, and requiring a permit. 10 acres felt a little bit large to us, so I think we just talked about 5 acres as being something that we felt would be approximate where you probably are starting to churn up the soil enough with your earth moving equipment to actually probably require a look at how you might use best management practices to prevent erosion from leaving the site.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Ayes 6, no nays.
And the ordinance is approved on second and final reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under resolutions, we have a resolution authorizing the city manager to transfer certain properties located in the Heritage Center Industrial Park to Oklo Incorporated for Oklo's proposed advanced nuclear fuel recycling facility.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Heeman.
Thank you, Mayor.
And welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. This is a proposed development that involves around 800 jobs and $1.68 billion in investment with Oklo. That's a company that tested its fuel recycling processes out in Idaho Falls. They have raised substantial private capital and secured partnerships with companies like Nucleo, Blackilla, and Vertiv. And also I'd like to point out they're collaborating with folks like Meta And I believe also have a partnership with South Korea related to some nuclear work. So we're excited to have them in Oak Ridge. This resolution authorizes the city manager to transfer properties. The previous approval of the abrogation of the airport was also a piece of this puzzle. This is a puzzle, I will say, with many pieces. You may recall $9 million in support of that effort to abrogate the airport property, so it would enable the no-cost transfer to Oklo. So the state already has in place with Oklo an accountability agreement based on job creation. City agreements typically include job creation, but they also include potential phasing and timing and clawback features related to those. So any agreement that we come up with will require coordination with the state as well. They will end up having to approve whatever agreement we come up with because they were a party to some of the land transactions. Much like the Orano agreement, this is a very complicated transaction. It involves transfers from DOE, from Crowette. I believe Oak Ridge Corridor Development Corporation is involved. The state is involved as well as the city. It also involves the moving of a road, Blair Road, which the state is working on right now. So as I mentioned earlier, any proposed resolution requires your city attorney and city manager to incorporate clawback provisions. Every property that we have worked on since I've been here has had that provision, and we would expect to do that with this one. And with that, I will be happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Questions or comments? Council, Ms. Smith?
Yeah, are the agreements that the state has approved and the clawbacks proposed and so forth in material that we could see? I feel like, we as the people's elected representatives ought to have a clear idea of what we're approving, and I've not seen any of this.
Certainly. That's already been approved with the state. We'll be happy to send that to you.
I'd kind of like to see it before I approve.
Okay.
That's
Other comments? Well, we have delayed this already. Ms. Smith, I'd prefer to move ahead, but I don't just want to.
I don't know what we're moving ahead with in that regard, that what the urgency is right now for this.
Mr. Hammond?
Well, what you're moving ahead with is authorizing us to work through the process of putting all of those things in place. This may be phased. It may not be phased. There's probably about 10 or so pieces of property involved here coming from different sources. So we need to put together an agreement that covers that, just like we did with the Orano agreement and other agreements. And we will put clawbacks in it the same manner. So, yeah, I know you'd like to see it first, but quite frankly, in order to move the project ahead, it needs to be approved and needs to be in the hands of us to put that agreement together. If there's specific things that you want in that agreement, I would encourage you to make that part of the motion if they're not discussed in here. But we are asking you to trust us to put that agreement together due to the timing of this project and to keep it moving forward just as we have on every other project that we worked on.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I'm assuming this is approved and recommended by staff. Mr. Heeman, you know what the procedure is, and you've looked at the clawback provisions. I would assume our city attorney has done as well. So I will be supporting this based on my confidence in what you've done.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I'm a bit handicapped on this because my iPad has stopped showing the agenda item. Once again, this has been an issue for several days now. But my recollection is that I have the cover letter, and I might be able to access the resolution, actually. Yeah, I can pull it up, I think. I recall that it focused specifically on clawbacks related to the property, the GSA property with the buybacks, but it didn't address clawbacks related to anything else. And that was maybe my misreading of it. I did find it here on the on Granicus on the city website, but the bullet about clawbacks says a clawback provision that is acceptable to the city and the state of Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, which is a requirement basically as a funding source used to pay for the abrogation of the deed restriction. But there's no indication of anything else that we might be concerned with. And I think that, I think we'd like to know that other concerns related to valuation of property and expectations of the company would be addressed in clawbacks as well. So this only referred to that one thought, or that one topic, the buyback provision.
Ms. Rackard?
Yeah, I did just put in the resolution reference to the fact that there would be a clawback on the properties, and then made reference to the fact that the state would have to also approve the clawback language. Granted, the state does only have to approve the clawback language for that one parcel, the 105 acres. So it will depend on whether the transfers do occur in phases or if they occur as a whole. But the clawback will apply to all of the land transfers as a whole. So I don't want you to think that the clawback is only going to be on that one, the 105 acres. But the 105 acres that is what triggers the state having to be a party to the agreement on the clawback provision for that parcel. So that's, I mean, it was a bit tricky to try and get, a lot of things in that resolution that I thought were necessary to put in there, like also adding that we needed to make sure that we put those properties subjected to the property restrictions out there in the park before we transfer them, because those parcels are not all of those parcels are subjected to those declarations.
I have concern in part because I keep hearing from individuals in the community who have extensive background in nuclear engineering and awareness of the technologies we're talking about, who have questions about just what, on this particular project, which is more complex than some of the others that we've looked at, such as Arano, from a standpoint of the what, questions about just what kind of decisions city council's made, what kind of information we have in support of these decisions. And I don't feel a strong understanding of what it is we'd be approving if we approve the entire property transfer right now. That's if I know that we can come back and weigh in on specifics later on, I'd feel better about it.
So as written, if you pass the resolution as it is proposed, it does authorize the city manager to transfer those parcels, and then that the manager and I would make sure that there is a clawback provision in there. So
Whether it's done in separate parcels or whether it's done as a whole. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it could be phased, it could be as a whole. And I believe it's probably, the transfer will probably be phased. I do believe that based on a conversation I had with Oklo as recently as 4:30 today. I anticipate it would probably be a phased transfer because the city does not own all of the parcels yet, and I do think they are ready to take some parcels. So absent a modification to this resolution, yes, you would be authorizing that transfer to occur without it coming back to city council to see a deed.
Well, that bothers me.
Okay. All right. Any more questions or comments by members? All right, Mr. Colclaser, you wanted to be recognized.
Good evening, Council. Doug Colclaser, 103 Monticello Road. This project clearly offers a lot of promise, a major investment in our community and future of our nation. At this point, the property has been cleared of all, 100 acres has been cleared of the old forest. It seems entirely appropriate the city compensated for the sale of these trees. In the scheme of things, the dollar amount's probably not much, but I remember in this room a few years ago when we spent an hour finding $30,000 to pay for the vet at the animal shelter. So this was an old forest. A lot of this was white oak. I asked the company clearing it why they pulled the white oak logs out in a huge pile, and he said they're going to Kentucky for whiskey barrels. So this was valuable timber that got harvested on this site. Seems entirely appropriate the city was compensated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colclaser. Anyone else in the audience wishing to address council? Seeing none, the motion is to approve the resolution, and we are on the board.
Five ayes, 1 nay.
And the resolution is approved. And Ms. Rackard, if you, Ms. Heeman, would have further follow-up conversations with Ms. Smith. Sure.
Thank you.
All right, next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending the professional services agreement with Goodwin Mills Kaywood LLC, Brentwood, Tennessee, for the proposed Oak Ridge General Aviation Airport to expand the scope of services to include aeronautical forecasting, an update to the airport layout plan drawing, revalidation of the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, and aerial imagery collection, and to increase the compensation by $99,495 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $277,175.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Heeman.
Thank you, Mayor. The airport's been a priority for the city for a very long time. It's in our strategic plan right now. I'd like to remind everyone that we were on the verge of moving forward with bidding the project at East Tennessee Technology Park when it was determined the airport had to move to support the Orano project. We were happy to do that. But after that determination, on January the 7th, 2025, the city passed a resolution that directed the city manager to explore alternate sites for the Oak Ridge General Aviation Airport. Today, we're looking at a total of $277,000 for that work, based on TDOT Aeronautics, and Ms. Moore will talk in a little more detail about that. But I'd like to point out that includes $177,680, which actually was approved in 2025. So this isn't new. In order to be totally transparent, that was all rolled into one contract with this resolution to amend the GMC contract. So it doesn't look like we've tried to do half of it in one and half of it in another. It's completely transparent. I'll say again that this work is to, as the January 7th, 2025 directive stated, to explore an alternate site. Until we have explored a site, and people have said, what site are you exploring? Well, we've looked at a bunch of sites. Until we have actually explored a particular site and have information to present to City Council, we really cannot discuss the location. We don't want to light a fire in the public and say it's going to be here when it may not be there. So we need to do our due diligence on this. And as we consider that round of new due diligence, I would like to say, I had somebody say, well, it didn't work at the other location. We should just stop looking at this. And I step back And myself, I looked at, well, you don't need to do due diligence, we were told. And I thought, well, what's changed since the time that we moved this? And I think it's really important that we step back and look at the fact that since we moved the location of the airport, we have had over $10 billion in investment and around 3,000 jobs announced. And they're not just announcements. 4 of those are coming out of the ground. And I think we all know that we're going to have more. Since we moved it, we have become the epicenter, and that is a term used by, what magazine was that? One of the national magazines, but we're the epicenter for the new nuclear renaissance. Since we moved the location, we are looking in an area that is actually closer to McGee-Tyson, closer to that end of town. You will recall that this was originally contemplated as a pressure relief valve for McGee-Tyson. Back when a time when McGee-Tyson was not growing nearly as fast as it is now. So, you know, as we contemplate this and the need for due diligence, you know, as a city manager, it's my job to provide you facts. And I think we need to find some more facts on this new location with all the changes that have occurred. And that is why we have this in front of you today to look at. I will say that Kendall Moore's done a great job of putting together this and working with GMC. We've had some, I won't call them bumps in the road, but they probably were bumps in the road with TDOT Aeronautic in that we had a person change two times. So we've had things to work through with them. The good news about this also is, you know, our funding source is intact. It's not taxpayer dollars. It is Appalachian Regional Commission funds. So with that, I'll ask Kendall to jump in a little bit with details about this effort.
Ms. Moore?
Okay. I think Mr. Heeman touched on most elements. I did want to mention that we did take this to Budget and Finance Committee since last time we met about this same matter. During that meeting, Mark Paslick with GMC was able to speak to Budget and Finance, kind of about what we would expect from the study and how we came to be where we are and what a preliminary look looks like compared to what an actual site study would look like. I don't know if any of you that were present there want to inform council about that, but I'm here for additional questions if you have any.
Thank you. Questions for the manager or Ms. Moore? Anyone? Mr. Hensley, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my situation is interesting because I'm the president of the board of the Oliver Springs Airport. And so there may become a point out here where I have to recuse myself on both sides of this issue. Right. And so I would request that when we have a site in mind, I'd like to know where it is so I can not get involved in.
Absolutely.
And that should be revealed through the site study.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I'm just commenting as a member of the Budget and Finance Committee meeting that met, we had a good conversation with Mr. Paslick, learned a bit about what's going on. I think it's safe to say that there are myriad reasons why we don't want to discuss a specific site publicly right now. And council has not been informed about the specific site either. There's both confidentiality related to people who might want to buy the property or raise the price of it to sell it if they think that they have property that's going to be an airport. There's also the matter of people who have concerns about it. And we want to have the consultant look at sites and come up with a recommendation or recommendations before we go public with anything. But he did explain what kinds of things they're looking at, and the conceptual design could be very similar to what we had before for the other airport, but it's a new game right now, and we'll find out when we find out.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Kennedy, you have something to say? Yes.
airport, that general aviation airport that you all are discussing is the past. This here, this is the future. Ms. Jones, do you mind if I park this over there? No batteries. That future is brought to you by, Robert Kennedy, 209 Whippoorwill Drive. That future is brought to you by revolutions in rare earth magnets, storage batteries, cheap machinery, and onboard that thing belongs to my nonprofit, FAA That thing has revolutionized warfare. It will revolutionize package delivery all over the world, starting with Africa. In Paris, they built a vertiport, a pad on top of a building for flying cars to take off of. So the future of aviation is up and down. The airport you're discussing, on the other hand, is it's a obsolete boondoggle. It's backed by a few dozen wealthy enthusiasts. Sorry, Mr. Hensley. I know you
No
fly.
personal comments now, just keep.
Yes, sir.
That's not a true statement.
Your clock's running.
A few dozen wealthy enthusiasts who would like their hobby, subsidized by the taxpayer. But there's an opportunity cost to the airport. It eats up hundreds of acres in a relatively non-productive use, yet at the same time, we, the residents, are told, in the West End, are told by the city manager and others, we have a land shortage. We need land for houses that people actually want to live in. And it looks like, judging from the mileage and whatever, that one site could be over by Rogers Quarry or Briarcliff, which is already a pretty nice neighborhood. You could put hundreds of great new houses there. So I would suggest, I do tell you, that you've already embraced the nuclear future in this town. You should embrace the future of aviation too and abandon this boondoggle. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Anyone else wishing to address council? All right, seeing none, the motion is to approve the resolution, and we're on the board.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Ms. Moore.
A resolution authorizing the city to accept assignment of certain rights, duties, and responsibilities under the Declaration of Restrictions, Heritage Center Industrial Park, East Tennessee Technology Park, Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Rackard?
So Heritage Center LLC is winding down, and they have requested that the city of Oak Ridge take over the assumption of enforcement of the restrictions of the Heritage Center Industrial Park. So it would be all of the documents within the restrictions with the exception of the common area maintenance fees. They have already assigned the common area maintenance fees responsibilities to the AMSI Foundation, which is now the Oak Ridge Discovery Foundation. And that is something the city manager and I have discussed previously, and we're now ready to move forward with that request of city council. They've requested that it be a joint assignment to the city and the ORCDC, and we're going to work together on how all that will work out.
All right, questions for Ms. Rackard?
Yep.
Mr. Gleason, Mr. Hensley, and then Ms. Gleason.
I understand what's happening here, but how can we approve something if we don't know what the restrictions are that we're enforcing? I mean, I know you can't dig below 10 feet out there. That's one of DOE's restrictions. Are these going to come under our zoning ordinance, and then that'd be no problem. But if it's a whole new set of restrictions, that's a problem. And I really can't approve this because I don't know what the restrictions are that we're agreeing to.
Well, these are the recorded restrictions out there. It's similar in nature to the restrictions that Horizon has that are recorded. Obviously, they are different because it's for heritage, but it would allow the city to do the enforcement mechanism of what is built out there to determine whether it's built in accordance with the standards that are recorded. So Heritage Center LLC did believe that the city would be the best entity to take over the assumption of that because we do have the experience with doing so with our zoning and planning. It does allow the city to also have some of those rights of repurchase for vacant parcels because there's some timing requirements in those restrictions for building.
I probably would not have any problem with it if I knew what they were.
It's lengthy.
Mr. Gleason?
How about providing it to us?
I did want to add one thing, and that is this is not a long-term thing for us. We have gone from, in the last 2 years, one or two or a handful of property owners out there to really having 8 or 10 companies and knowing what the future looks like. And the future from a management standpoint, quite frankly, is that those folks like Mr. Ed Petit-Demange out here and his company and the other companies that are out there would take over management just like any HOA takes over for itself once those are filled out. So that is the long-term agreement is that they will actually do this. In the interim, as we work through the new master plan and Mr. McGill's working through that, and we work through what needs to happen out there, do roads need to be privatized, all those things will eventually be overseen by the companies that are out there. So ultimately, these will be turned over to them, but there is an interim period here for a year and a half or 2 years, I would guess, where we're being asked by Crowett to step in and because they're giving us the property and in essence do what they were doing for a brief period of time till it gets turned over long-term to management by the folks that are going to be out there.
Mr. Gleason?
Yes, sir. Just a notification, given my role with the Corridor Corporation, I'll abstain from this vote.
Okay.
Absent any.
All right, any other comments? No. Mr. Gleason, do you have equal comments?
Yeah, understood, sir. I think as we work our way through this process more and more often, and Mr. McGill and I get better about how to bring these things forward, we can anticipate some of the concerns that we heard here tonight as far as anticipating where does our ownership begin and end on these deals, the role the city's going to play in oversight versus what we saw at Crowett. It's obviously, in my opinion, it's an important step towards the city having more operational control on what's happening on
Sure,
those sites.
I don't disagree.
Certainly understand the concern with being asked to sign off on a declaration of restrictions that you haven't reviewed.
Right.
And we'll certainly do a better job of preparing in advance of those.
I mean, if you guys will promise me that you'll give me a call and I could look at the restrictions here sometime in the near term, I'd be happy to go with this. Do I see some heads going like this out
I think
there?
you did.
Okay.
Mr. Hope?
Yeah, just real quick, Tammy or Randy, are there any, and Sean, you may be able to answer this too, are there any long-term covenants, when we assumed the responsibility of Heritage Center, Horizon Center, there were several covenants involved. Are there anything like that at Heritage Center, K25, that is going to present any challenges for us in the long term as far as transfer? And like you said, Randy, once this is, all the ownerships and the parcels are brought in, this will be transferred over, but is there any long-term covenants or anything of that nature that we need to worry about? Has Croat put anything like that in place that we're gonna have to study and make sure we're working through or working around?
So not that I'm aware of at this time.
Yeah.
Nothing
None that we
nothing
can
can be
think of.
added in the 11th hour? So it's all
They are
recorded. It's already
They
on
are
all the-
recorded
okay.
covenants. There's the original recorded covenants. They've had many amendments that they've had one text amendment. All of the other amendments really have just been adding properties to
Okay.
be subjected
I
to
just-
them.
I worry about it because that was, those are things that were real challenges with Horizon. As we took ownership of Horizon, we had several of those that we had to work through and you just spent a lot of time working through that. I don't want to see the same thing happen at Heritage that happened at Horizon, and I have to work through that whole process and make this a much more arduous project than it needs to be.
Mr. Dodson.
Yes, Mr. Gooch, I will probably be abstaining myself from this vote as I am board president of the American Museum of Science and Energy Foundation, currently known as the Oak Ridge Discovery Foundation. Thank you.
I mean, you can abstain if you want. There really isn't a conflict. They've got the common area maintenance fees. That was transferred to them in October. So they already have that responsibility, and they weren't at all interested in these responsibilities.
Well, Ms. Rackard, if you can assure me that there's no conflict, then I will stay on the vote.
All right, other comment, Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, since no one has mentioned this, I think this is real progress, and we need to do this, that the transfer of responsibility is overdue, and I'm glad it's happening.
I would say amen to that. Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
We have 5 ayes, no nays, and 1 abstention.
All right, and the resolution is approved.
Who abstained?
Sean. All right. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to Powell Brothers Mechanical Contractors LLC, Clinton, Tennessee, for the purchase and installation of a replacement HVAC system for the Central Services Complex in an amount not to exceed $108,454.
Moved and seconded.
Mayor and council members, the item we bring to you is to replace an existing 40-ton rooftop unit. Over the last few years, it's suffered several several issues. The most recent being the damaged evaporator coil and compressor. The repair estimates for it alone total approximately $49,000. For this reason, we had a whole unit to just do a complete replacement price. And we had estimated it when we brought it to Budget and Finance to be around $115,000. The bids came in and we were able to get it for $108,454. We recommend the approval as we've spent more than $25,000 in the last 2 years doing repairs and having repeated service calls. By going ahead and improving this, it will take about 8 to 10 weeks for us to receive the equipment, and this price includes the equipment plus the installation at the CSC facility.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a technical head comment here. 40 tons means that the energy transferred, it will melt 40 tons of ice in a 24-hour period. And I had to look it up because I didn't know where it was.
All right, any other technical observations? I certainly did. We're on the board. The motion is to approve.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to Rogers Group Incorporated, Knoxville, Tennessee, for repair and resurfacing of selected roadways located within school zones in an amount not to exceed $948,278.10.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Flynn.
First, I want to say I'm crossing calendar years and fiscal years here. You may have noticed that there's more work here than normal, and that's why. This contract in specific is just school zones. We felt like that if we tried to put these school zones in the larger contract, we wouldn't be able to control the time of it, so we pulled them out, did a separate contract. In addition, we're trying to deal with Providence Road. I personally have paved it twice in my career, and it needs it again. So we have chosen, instead of just overlaying it, to repair the subgrade in it. And we think that probably will extend the life of it. I've seen that process on a couple of other streets. It's full depth reclamation. And I've seen that on a couple of other streets, and it works really well. So we're going to recommend it here. The cost is really very similar. So we feel like this is a good recommendation.
Questions for Mr. Flynn? Mr. Dodson?
Yeah, I know this covers the resurfacing. Does this also cover the striping as well as the crosswalks with regards to the students coming to and from the schools?
It does, and it also, at the, east end of the road, I'm going to change the configuration on the parking and the turn lanes. We're having trouble with people driving up on the curbs to try to get into that right turn lane, so I'm going to extend those lanes.
Oh, well, that's perfect, thank you.
And see if I can help that problem.
I appreciate that.
But yes, it does include restriping.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, it appears the material we received doesn't identify the streets. The Budget and Finance Committee saw a list of the streets that this included, and that's something people are often very interested in. You mentioned Providence Road, that's one of the main pieces. I think there's part of Robertsville Road included.
This contract is only school zones.
Right.
It's Providence Road, it's two sections of Robertsville, and then it's one section of Manhattan, and that's all that's in this contract.
Okay, yeah, because people are always curious about what's going to be done on streets. So I just wanted to get that out.
Yeah, mileage-wise, square yard-wise, it's pretty small, but
Oh, yeah.
again, we're just trying to control it in the school zones so we can get it done during vacation.
Roger.
Mr. Hope?
Roger, there's nothing here about Fairbanks in front of Jefferson?
Fairbanks is in,
Is that part of the street zoning
I was
deal?
gonna say, no, I think it's in this contract. It's the Fifth Street.
Okay, so it's the Fifth Street, so it's not.
Yeah,
in
it's the
red-
Fifth Street. I'm
Okay.
sorry if I didn't specify it in, I thought I did. Anyway, yeah, two sections of Robertsville, Fairbanks, a section of Manhattan, and Providence.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Other questions for Mr. Flynn? Seeing none, the motion is to approve.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to Rogers Group Incorporated, Knoxville, Tennessee, for street milling and resurfacing of designated city streets in an amount not to exceed $3,068,425.
Second. Mr. Flynn.
This is a conventional repaving contract. It's just larger than normal. It's actually just given me an opportunity to get a whole lot of stuff on my to-do list done. We've got a couple of major streets in here. We've actually got a couple of dead-end neighborhood streets in here. It's a variety of streets. And
it's
to
across
answer your
town.
question about striping, everything gets restriped. So this is just accumulation of basically 2 years' worth of work.
And it's across town, across
Yes.
the city, across the city.
You're correct.
Yes. I think that's important too. All right. Questions for Mr. Flynn? Seeing none, motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the resolution on the road repairs is approved. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the city to apply for and accept if awarded an Environmental Protection Agency Community Project Grant in an amount of up to $3 million to be used for the decommissioning of the Legacy Water Treatment Plant. Said grant requiring a 20% local match.
Move for approval.
All right.
Mayor and council
Yeah, Ms.
members,
Atkins. Ms. Atkins, thank you.
yes. We submitted for the FY '27 Community Project Funding Request with Congressman Fleischman and the amount of $3 million to help with decommissioning the old plant up in or within the Y-12 site. As she mentioned, the City of Oak Ridge would be responsible for 20% of that overall project, but this would just help us with decommissioning the plant once the new water treatment plant was in operation. So this basically, you're just approving for us to apply and to accept this earmark award should we receive it.
And I'm sure that if we approve it, Congressman Fleischman will do his best to get it approved as he's done in previous years. And we certainly thank him on behalf of all the citizens of Oak Ridge. And quite frankly, it's something that the federal government needs to invest in because the amount of water that is used by the DOE facilities. So this isn't just a gift to the city of Oak Ridge. This is something that needs to be done to serve not only our 34,000 citizens, but the facilities on the Oak Ridge Reservation. And I always take every opportunity to say we are the only city in the country in the DOE enterprise that has all the DOE facilities inside our city limits. And we always need to make people aware of that. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, we're still using the reservoir, though.
That is correct. We've got 7 million gallons worth of reservoir capacity at this time. They're located within the Y-12 facility.
All right, the motion is to approve it. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, the motion is to approve.
6 ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you, Ms. Atkins. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution to approve the purchase of 3 161 kV 1200A 50K power circuit breakers from Siemens Energy Incorporated, Franklin, Tennessee, in the amount of $527,667.
Moved and second. Mr. By.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. These items, sorry.
Yeah, speak into the.
Good evening. These items are one of the big-ticket items on the electric substations for DEO or all the ones that we have. These have really long lead times, and we're intending to purchase these to put into some of these upcoming transformers that we're planning on building for the nuclear industry. And because they have such long lead times, or we would like to go ahead and try to get in line and in order to get them, in order for us to help the industry meet their timelines. Most of them want in 3 to 4 years, and this is exactly what their lead times are nowadays, about 3 years on average. We went out for bids on these items, and the lowest bidder was Siemens Energy from Franklin, Tennessee. And this went through the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and it was favorably received.
All right. Questions or comments for Mr. By? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
6 ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to Southwest Electric Company, Nashville, Tennessee, for the refurbishment of 2 substation transformers in an amount not to exceed $243,420.
Moved and seconded. Ardo?
Mayor and council, if you remember back in early 2000, the city started the process of getting some electrical infrastructure out of K-25 transfer back to the city. And part of that included an MOU with the understanding that some of the equipment that DOE had at the time would be transferred to the city. So two of the big transformers that are sitting at that K-25 switchyard right now is one of those 2. Now, they've been out there sitting for a while, and they need to be reconditioned, refurbished, and things of that nature. We went out for bids, and the lowest bidder in this case was Southwest Electric Company, and unfortunately, by the time the bid came out, the Budget and Finance Committee meeting was already passed. Because of the time crunch that we're in, we went ahead and added it into the council on this session as well. You may recall that sometimes last year we had a transformer failure out at Bear Creek, and once these are reconditioned, there will be a good potential to get one of those transformers out there before the new transformer gets here by the end of the year. And I should also mention that if you wanted to order one of these transformers right now, new, it's in the neighborhood of about $2.5 million, and it would take about 3 years to get it. We just opened the bid on one of them last week, and that's what it would take to get one of these.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Bye.
Thank you.
We are on the board.
Six ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution recommending to the Industrial Development Board of the City of Oak Ridge to proceed with the negotiation and preparation of documents related to a lease involving payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to the Bluffs Apartment Project in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Pessimer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a resolution to modify the pilot application, or at least the pilot resolution. So just a little bit of background. Recently, Council approved a new pilot resolution, which basically created a matrix for different projects to be able to apply directly for consideration for the Industrial Development Board if they met certain criteria. This particular project is the Bluff Apartments. It's located off Centennial Bluff Drive off of Edgemore Road. The amount that this project would need for expenditures in total is $10 million to qualify for the pilot. You can see that they have about $61 million, which is the appraised value, which they plan on spending on this project. That does not include a lot of earthwork that they're going to have to do out there, and there's a lot of rocks evident on the soil currently. So they're going to have some very high costs. It's estimated about $183,000 per unit. And so being that they're well in excess of what is required, they requested, and I think the city manager is recommending, rather than being in the Tier 3 pilot, which would have been a 30% tax reduction for 5 years, would be to actually do a 30% pilot for 10 years in order to make up for the extraordinary costs that they're doing. I'll also mention that these are 4-story units, which means they're going to have elevators, and that adds a ton of cost, but adds a lot of benefit to the community as well.
All right. Questions or comment? Ms. Smith?
You know, what sizes are these units, and what kinds of rents are expected from, clearly too far in the future, but.
Councilwoman, we have here with Ray Evans, Tyler Watson with the project, who can answer that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Tyler Watson, address is 850 Morrison Drive, Charleston, South Carolina. So I brought this little sheet, let me pull this up real quick. Talking about unit sizes, so this is what's proposed right now. So one beds would be in the mid 700 square foot range. Two beds would be a little over 1,100 square feet, and three beds are roughly 1,300 square feet. And as far as rental rates, I would say they're about in line with the Main Street Lofts project, which is the newest apartment project here. So we've basically gone and set our rents in line with them.
I have another question that you may or may not be able to answer.
Sure.
This site has had issues for years with the right-in, right-out access off Mountain Lake Drive. And I believe that the current plan includes connecting the interior roads to the road that serves the Centennial Golf Course, which would be one good benefit for this project. But that is an inefficient and unsafe access on Mountain Lake Drive. Is there any potential for the project to consider creating improved access to Mountain Lake Drive to reduce the people who will come out the right turn access and turn left?
At this point, we're not completely sure how we're going to handle that. I know we'll have entrance points on both sides of the site through the existing development and then on the other side towards the golf course, but outside of that, we haven't explored any.
Well, that'll be an improvement, having two accesses anyway. Just curious. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions or comments? No. Questions or comments, council? All right, now, if you want to address council, you know what the process is. Do you want to come forward, give us your name and address, and ask your question?
Yashikowski 101.
You're going to have to speak up. Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yashikowski 101 Cottage Court, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I just had a question on where the apartments mentioned would be located at. I heard Melton Drive, but there's kind of a lot of area on that, so
Mr. White, you want to give him the address?
So we're directly behind the golf course, so if you know.
behind the golf course, like Haw Ridge or that area.
Here, I can show you. So if you see right here, so that's the golf course practice facility, the driving range, and so it's right behind the Mountain Lake. How are you trying to say? Yeah, this is Edgemont Road right here. Just north of Edgemont Road. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Mr. Evans, you got a comment?
So,
Name and address.
Ray Evans, 107 Amanda Place, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I first met Tyler and his partner Will late in 2024. So that's how long they have been trying to pull together development in Oak Ridge. They looked at least a dozen sites of various locations in the city, and for various reasons they didn't work out. They finally picked a site in Commerce Park. Actually went through the planning process, went through the site review committee and such. The issue with that particular parcel is that when DOE transferred that property to the city of Oak Ridge, they put a no residential restriction. They put a residential restriction on the property. So Tyler and his team have worked for almost a year to get through the political process with DOE to get that residential restriction lifted. And you would think that a parcel that has two churches on it wouldn't have any issue of having some residential on it as well. Well, that didn't happen. So they have now chosen this piece of property, and I think it's a perfect location for them. The first thing I did when I met these guys was check them out. And I can tell you that they have an outstanding reputation. They do extremely good. Maybe the top apartment complex in Oak Ridge when they're finished.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. All right, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
6 ayes, no nays.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you. Next item of business is comments by citizens. Citizens shall be permitted to address city council about matters that are not on the formal agenda. Any citizen wishing to do so shall raise your hand and proceed to the public lectern, and after recognition, state your name and address and the purpose of your appearance before council. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes and shall relate to matters of city business. They shall not generally result in a formal response or action at the time of presentation, because in most cases, neither the council nor the staff will be prepared to respond effectively. However, I may answer the questions, direct the city manager to do so, or the city manager may be requested to work with the citizen to effect resolution of the matter. Statements that are purely political in nature will not be allowed, such as campaign speeches or announcements of candidacy for office, nor will announcements of civic or social events that is unrelated to city business. Are there any citizens here that wish to address council? Mr. McBride, and then I'll come to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Martin McBride, 954 West Outer Drive. I'd like to talk tonight a little bit about the initiative to seek DOE school aid, which would yield, if we were successful, about $10 to $15 million for each of 4 public school systems in Anderson and Roane County. The aspect I'd like to talk about tonight is the benefits for the DOE national missions of doing this. Because what I'm really proposing is that we put together a sales pitch that talks about how this is a major win for the department as well as the city. So the basic concept here is that I've been involved in the nuclear business now for, well, over 50 years. And as a federal official, I've been stationed from the East Coast to the Rocky Mountains in different sites. And unfortunately, the nuclear business has an image problem. It's lingering and it's very real, and that image problem translates over to economic pressure on the local communities and the host communities. And in unfortunately too many cases, it ends up in negative responses, which causes us to lose a lot of nuclear facilities in this country. Now that's, I was in the nuclear energy business for a while, and we've lost a lot of great nuclear energy power plants. And also in DOE, we've lost a number of major facilities, including the Rocky Flats plant, where I was an NNSA official at the time, and that was an NNSA official that we lost. That was a very traumatic experience for me, having to look at those thousands of workers who their families had worked at that site. It was a beautiful plant. And because of the local economic pressure and the local economic backlash, the department reached a point where they just could not continue that operation anymore and had to be shut. Now, there are 4 major positive values to seeking this school aid. Number 1, there's targeted host community benefit to the economy. Number 2, there's a direct tie to public education. So the nuclear business is tied to public education. That's a real plus. Number 3, it helps the affordability of our problems of our young people, particularly if you add federal student loan forgiveness, which is there are programs in the federal government that we could just tag on to that wouldn't cost DOE anything, that would also benefit nuclear. Number 4, it boosts home property values in the host community. Those are very important values that are win-wins for DOE as well as the community. So we've got 6 months left in this window of opportunity, and I'm open to any questions or any other thoughts you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Anthea Hendricks.
You're going to have to talk just a little louder, please.
My name's Anthea Hendricks, and I live at 142 Maryville Circle in Oak Ridge. And on December 11th, my car was totaled by a woman who was coming down the street where I live so fast. She slammed into the back of my car that was parked right outside, my apartment. She slammed into it so hard that she totaled my car. And she fled the scene and drove home. So I'm sure she was either drunk or high on something. She was an older woman, but I would have not even known what was who did it or anything. But the neighbor next door to me at let's see, she's at 138 Maryville Circle, happened to see the accident and recognize the woman as someone who spends a lot of time at the next door neighbor on my other side at 144 Maryville Circle. Spends a lot of time over there at that house. And so she thankfully called the tag number into the police, and that was a big help. But my car was totaled, and it took me about 2 months to go through the whole process to have my car repaired instead of having to accept it being totaled. And when I finally got my car back, I began parking in my driveway. I rent this place, and I just moved in there in July. But there is a driveway there, and it has been used a lot in the past. I just hadn't used it before then. But to protect my car, since I saw this woman's car parked next door practically every day, I cleaned up that driveway and cut back a lot of the foliage that had grown over it and started using it. And immediately, the neighbor next door, who I had never met, complained to city codes that I was parked illegally on my lawn. And instead of asking her, "What's it to you?" city codes jumped on the bandwagon and immediately sent my landlord a notice of violation that I had violated city codes by parking in my own driveway, which is identical to my neighbor who rents the other side of the duplex that I rent. I'm at 142 Maryville Circle, he's at 140 Maryville Circle. The only difference is his is outside the big fenced yard that we share, and mine is inside with a big gate that opens out to the street. And so my landlord received a notice of violation, and I was forced to have to park out of the street again, where my car is vulnerable to this woman who is over there all the time. And the neighbor that lives next door to me, her house looks very much like a meth house, has high fencing and heavily chained gates. And I don't even know the woman, but she actually came before I knew she had complained to city codes about me. She had parked her truck behind my car that was in my driveway and refused to move it until I was forced to call the Oak Ridge police to make her move her truck so that I could get.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but your 3 minutes has expired. I'm going to ask Ms. Williams, who's head of planning, who's sitting in the back of the audience, to talk with you after the meeting. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Any comments? Okay. Announcements and scheduling.
I'd like to comment on, don't usually get a chance to do these kinds of reports. I went to another National League of Cities meeting last month, and appreciate the city's support for doing that. And I have some notes. I don't want to go into everything I might have wanted to say because the hour is late. But first off, I want to report that the national meeting of the National League of Cities is going to be held in Nashville in November. And they handed out these foam microphones. I grabbed a bunch because I figure some of you might enjoy having one of these in your office. Advertising, Nashville sets the stage for the meeting. And the Nashville folks sure would like other Tennesseans to show up and help them show off their city and show off the state at this conference in November. The official dates are November 18th to 21st. So I have these souvenirs to share with those of you who wish to have one. Mayor?
Oh,
City
thank you
clerk?
very much.
So I'll leave them up here. And more seriously, always learn at these things about various federal initiatives that might be of importance to us. And one thing I learned is that the current funding for state revolving funds for water is expected to expire September 30th. So I thought we're lucky that we're done, I think, with state revolving fund loans for the water treatment plant. But a couple other things that are coming up. Two pieces of legislation that were recommended as important to city governments that we ought to be looking at. One is the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, which has bipartisan support, is apparently maybe moving through both houses. And that's to support basically improving housing attainability, the term that NLC was using, rather than saying affordability, but attainability of housing is a big issue. And I think that we're all aware that there's a need for more housing in general. And that's the reason we're supporting a lot of housing projects. But I don't know the details, but that's something that we're recommended to support. Another one is reauthorization of transportation funding through the BASICS Act. And the transportation funding authorization is expired to end this year. The BASICS Act apparently is getting support on both, again, bipartisan support on both houses. And an item that was supported is that this would rebalance the allocation of money in the formula programs, funding formula programs for various transportation projects. That the historical approach has been to send most of the money to states. And there's been good support for sending more of it to transportation planning organizations within the states that are more likely to spend some of the money on local projects rather than state projects. So there's strong support for continuing to rebalance the funding and increase the balance to TPOs rather than states in order to provide funding for local projects. So there's a push. We are encouraged to tell our congresspeople that that's something that would be very helpful for us. And I know we've all been involved with the TPO at one degree or another. They're a big source of funding. But the rationale there is that local government owns 43% of the federal aid highway network. But local governments receive less than 15% of the spending that goes to the federal aid highway network. So the states take care of some of their roads, the state highways, but they're repaving the turnpike now. But there are other streets that are in the federal aid network that are city responsibility and aren't getting the kind of treatment that our major roads are getting. There's more going on, but those are two things I thought were important to share. And I can share with others of you some other things I picked up. But I do appreciate the chance to do this, and I think it's important that we have this information.
Great. Any other requests for items or briefings? Seeing none, Mr. Heeman, your report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to be brief tonight. We've had a lot going on. We had a very good meeting. I want to thank the Oak Ridge Corridor Development Corporation and others that hosted Senator Haggerty. Around 200 people were at that event. And at that, Mayor Gooch presented a proclamation to Dr. Hashmishian, and he received the National Excellence Award from the American Museum of Science and Energy at that luncheon. So Congressman Fleischman was there. Just a really good meeting. Want to thank all those that helped pull that together, and I know staff assisted with that as well. Lauren in particular did a lot of work on that as well, and the chamber pitched in. That was a really good community effort. The IDB had our signing with Arano USA on SSP Self-Sufficiency Parcel 2 last month, and that was the next step toward construction in that Project Ike. So we're excited about that and want to thank all those that participated there. And notice there's a handsome guy in that middle picture on the bottom there at the podium. Councilman Hope has been really busy with his ECA presidency. He met with Tim Walsh, Assistant Secretary for the Office of OREM at the U.S. Department of Energy last month, and he's been doing a lot of work for us through his presidency at the was at the waste management meeting in Arizona, and I believe Amy might have attended one of those as well. You're invited to an event here, the 10th anniversary of the Manhattan National Historical Park. That's Thursday, April the 30th, 4 to 5:30 at the Oak Ridge Conference Center. So we'd invite you to that, and Amy's worked on that, as well as our friends at the National Park and our friends at Explore Oak Ridge have all worked on that. I do want to point out, we ran across this in our quarterly meeting with regarding Oak Ridge Transit when we sat down to review the progress. I'd like you to note how high the ridership has gone since the changes were made toward the contract. There is really an upward trend in usage. You'll recall we've got the new transit app, extended service hours, a lot of improvements there, and feedback has been really good on that. That's not to say that we're perfect. There's still things to improve, but service has really improved in that area. And it is free to curb service. And like I said, the extended hours, you can see them there. Anyway, that's doing really well. National Library Week, we just had the proclamation on that, but just want to remind folks that there's a table in the lobby of the library to visit and write down messages about your enthusiasm for the library. We do have the new way to report an outage. Want to make sure that people are using that. That's call or text that 833-628-3400, and I know Lauren has pushed that out, but that's an easier way to report an outage. Do want to congratulate our clerk, Beth Hickman, who just earned her Master Municipal Clerk certification. And Beth, it took about 6 years to work through that. It's a very, very extensive program. And for those of you that don't know, she is the queen of parliamentary procedures in this neck of the woods and is widely renowned for that. But that's one of her many things that she's done. Give her a hand. We have our Touch a Truck event April 22nd over at the AK Bissell Park. And, you know, the thing that sets ours apart from everybody else's is the way our staff interacts with people. The folks that use the equipment really enjoy this event, and they enjoy the kids, and that's what makes it so special. I've been to these before where people just set out trucks, It's not the same as ours. You get to talk to the folks, you get to see, push buttons and do things, raise things up. It's a really great event. I want to say happy retirement to Robin Nettles, who retired as city clerk for our court system, and this shows Judge Norman and Katie Stewart with her, and Katie is moving up into that role and doing a great job for us. But Robin did a lot for us, transitioned into new software, into the new location, and was really great for the court system. We have a number of employees that have recently been promoted. I mentioned Katie Stewart in the court system. We also have Lucas Pau, who went to fleet mechanic, had a whole bunch of promotions in the police lieutenant. Craig is one of those. And this started with Shannon Newman. When Shannon Newman moved up, she is our new captain, our third captain. Then it unleashed a whole bunch of promotions underneath her. Sarah Yeesh has moved up to police sergeant, and Adam Fairbanks has also moved up. We also have some new employees, several police officers that have just moved, and I believe one of those is an SRO, and also have some promotions in Public Works, James Sharp in facility maintenance, Savannah Crabtree, environmental compliance. And in the room with us today, we're going to make him raise his hand, stand up, our new IT director, Jeremy Gerlach, who was migrated to us from up north, and I think is enjoying the springtime down here. Other new city employees: Austin Roby, Emergency Communications Dispatch, Caitlin Faust, another trainee there, and Austin Clayton in Recreation Department. And then we have a bunch of employees that did not smile for the picture. Tammy said they've all been placed in the Witness Protection Program. We'll be working on new photos for those folks. And I believe that concludes my report.
All right. Any questions for the manager? Ms. Rackard, do you have a report?
I'm going to do a super fast one because it's really late. I'm just going to show you. I sent you an email, but I'm going to show you as well as the public. This is what our page for the municipal code, which I refer to as the city code, as to what that looks like. So now when people go to the city webpage to look for the city's ordinances, you are not sent to an outside link, so you're no longer going to be sent to MTAS, and you no longer have to look through 7+ years of ordinances to try and figure out what our code says. So you've got the full version of the code in one file, and then you've got the individual titles. And it will now be updated in-house. So the city code update that you pass tonight, that becomes effective 10 days from today. So 10 days from today, that page will update as well with that update. So hopefully we'll never be in the situation we were again. And then maybe that page will start to look a little bit fancier when I get a summer intern, and we'll make it look prettier with some bookmarks and everything. But that's what that looks like.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Hard work.
It was lengthy.
It certainly is. I think Ms. Smith noted that in the email that she sent out to us. Hit it right on the head. All right, having completed our agenda for the night, we are adjourned, and I thank everyone for your presence.